Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast, where we discuss all things crypto markets. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Memecoins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to discuss crypto's morning surge amidst global trade talks. We're going to talk about whether we can track institutional bids to potentially determine a local market top. And we're going to talk about an interesting public token sale that just went live on Echo's Sonar platform. GM, thank you for joining us today. If you're listening on Spaces, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a retweet, get us out there. If you're in the YouTube, give us a sub, give us a thumbs up, give us some comments in here today. We are excited. Crypto's pumping. Everything's good. I'm joined here today by Easy, Clemente, and Signal. What an all-star lineup. Clemente back on the East Coast, back in Miami. How you feeling, Sea-Dog?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I got the camera set up back in Miami. I took a couple days off last week. Spent some time with the family, with the boo thing. Took a red eye last night. Got here at 5. I'm feeling, dude. I'm locked in. You know, sometimes you need to take a little bit of time off to remember why you're in the game, to remember why you're doing this. You know, shit. So I'm back, dude. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to rock. And it's like it's not raining anymore in Miami. Beautiful day. Can't complain, dude.
Is it supposed to rain this week?
It's raining here.
Dude, it's supposed to rain like 4 times this week.
Yeah, I got rain Tuesday to next Tuesday. I haven't taken the boat out in a month. It's been rough, man. Bought this fucking thing. It's just sitting in the garage.
Oh, man. I wanted to talk about this plasma stablecoin deposit, but it's capped, already capped. 6 minutes. 6 minutes in, and this is capped $500 million of deposits on the Sonar platform.
So, Ray, a couple things I need to ask you about this.
Yeah.
USDT is the gas on this chain?
I don't exactly know what's going on here. I think it's going to be XPL is the token you're getting. I don't know if XPL is gas token or governance token.
Okay.
I don't know if
this was only accredited investors?
I don't believe it's only accredited investors, and there is KYC, but US is allowed.
Because D's had a post that was basically only accredited investors in the US. And that was where I was like, what? And then I commented on ICO Beast's post this morning because I was like, is it only accredited investors?
Okay. Yeah, here we go. Requesting evidence of accreditation. Okay, that makes sense.
And I got 500 million in 6 minutes.
Yeah, 500 million in deposits, 6 minutes.
Was there a limit to how much you can deposit?
They upped it this morning to something absurd. 50 million, I think.
Okay, so it was just like 10 big dogs put in 50 mil pop.
Yeah, let's see what it was.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. Yep. So this is basically just like a deposit, and you earn points. It's like time weighted off your deposit. You earn points, and then you can participate in the public sale with your time weighted points, essentially, like whenever they end up launching XPL token. So basically you can deposit, but you can't, or I think you can withdraw at any time, but eventually they'll be locked.
You can't withdraw at any time.
I think you can right now until they're locked. There's a lockup period.
I thought it was saying you couldn't withdraw until the main net or test or whatever. One of the nets goes live. This whole thing is confusing. We're not in it. Shout out to people who got in.
Yeah. Yep.
Yo, shout out to stable coins, man.
Hyper liquid.
All right.
Yeah, you can withdraw at any time during the deposit. However, doing so will reduce your units proportionally. So you lose your points when you withdraw. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to see people want to jump in this, but it's just completely moot at this point because it filled up immediately. So you're not getting any value there. You're just seeing that hey, stable coins are big. Circle had an IPO. People are jacked up to invest in stable coins essentially. So we missed this one. Maybe there's another one. We'll see. That being said, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to thank the partners for today's show. One of our favorites, DYDX. There's 2 days left in season 1 of their DYDX Yapper leaderboard on Kaido. Let's take a look at the leaderboard, actually. See if Easy's still cranking away at the top of this one. $50K per month being given out by DYDX for yapping about the platform. I don't think you can beat that for $0 of investment. Easy down to 14 on the list. 50K given away to the top 100 on DYDX. It's also the beginning of June. We're about to see May's rewards go out. This is a good time to be participating in the Surge program on DYDX. If you haven't signed up for DYDX yet, I don't know what you're doing. Go to bodoggos.com/DYDX to sign up. You earn points for trading on their site. You could climb a leaderboard and you earn DYDX tokens for trading. And they're giving away a ton of them. $20 million in rewards over 9 months. First 2 months are over. It's early in June. You have plenty of time to rack up some volume and earn the June rewards. The best part about this is it resets every month. So you're back on a level playing field every month. So if you haven't signed up yet, we're in the first 2 weeks of the month. Now is a wonderful time to do so. Love DYDX. Love working with him. Love watching Easy Trade on DYDX. He's been absolutely cooking. I think we're basically trading completely free with the rewards, if I'm not mistaken. Easy. Yep.
$0 cost basis, Ray.
Love to see it. Love to see it. That being said, we've got a lot to talk about today. Say, why don't you take it away with the weather report and we'll jump into the show.
Yeah, absolutely, Ray. Let's get into it on Monday, 9th June. Looking at that crypto roundup, the majors are pumping this morning with Bitcoin just under $108,000, Ethereum at $2,550, and Solana at $155. Over the past 24 hours, firstly, US and China have begun trade talks today in London. The talks are expected to run over the next 24 hours, with both parties very optimistic that a deal can be struck. Next up, X has announced a partnership with Polymarket on Friday to become their official prediction market. Specifics of the partnership weren't revealed, but they did announce the launch of an integrated product to deliver data-driven insights and recommendations. And then finally, we saw more institutional Bitcoin bids as Strategy acquired even more Bitcoin, 110 million's worth of Bitcoin on the week. The blockchain group also raised 340 million in at the market offering to increase their crypto strategy. That is all for the weather report. It is back to you folks in the studio.
Excellent weather report as always, Signal. Comment caught my eye. Something I saw over the weekend that I want to see if anyone else has been diving into. Big Alejandra, big A in the YouTube comments says, we're eating on Arena. If you're not trading AVAX memes, you're missing out. I saw Arena absolutely pumped. Clemente, are you still an Arena big dog? What are they called?
I'm a champion.
Ooh.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh, this is like kind of a lot of money.
How many tokens do you need to be a champion right now?
I'm not sure about that.
1.3 mil.
Sorry, Easy.
It's 1.3 million tokens to become a champion.
1.3. No, I've 666,000 tokens staked.
You might want to check because isn't it top 500? Are you still a champion?
Says I'm a champion.
Because when I looked yesterday, I thought I saw top 500 was in like the 1 mil plus range.
I'll share my screen real quick. Here's what's cool about being a champion. Like, I get all these airdrops, and if I go to my wallet, like these tokens I got all for free. So I have like $266 of this token that I got. I honestly have no idea how the hell, like, we need to dive in and see exactly what's going on in the arena. Because all of a sudden you have a bunch of people that are launching tokens over there, and ICO Beast made a really interesting comparison to it last night or like 2 days ago, where it was basically like, what do you value the kind of pump fun of AVAX? Because you have what they did, for people that don't know, the arena is basically like a friend tech, except they actually built something. So they've done 2 really interesting deliverables the last month. The first one was they rolled out live streaming. So anyone can live stream, and I have a ticket, right? I have a cost of my own little ticket that you can buy and sell. I can create content on there. So they have this content vertical, which has been their vertical for quite some time. But the other thing that they rolled out was a token launch pad and their own DEX. So you have basically all of these tokens being launched directly on this app, on this social media app, and you can buy and sell directly on there. So they have like all of this infrastructure that was being worked on and now is working. So You're seeing a lot of people just launch stuff on this social media piece directly. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. The other thing I'll say, which I don't know if it's a bid here, right? It's up like 3x in the last week.
Basically at all-time highs.
It's worth checking out. I'm receiving DMs from people in the AVAX community that are absolutely printing. So I don't know who's losing right now. I don't know what the big winners are, but like there's this new one, like new ticker called LAMBO, that is running up. Like I'm seeing a lot of people.
Hey Anon founder Daniel Sesta.
Really?
Is that who launched Lambo?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I saw someone mention that Sesta was coming over to AVAX.
So he's back. Not without some controversy, obviously. He was heavily involved in the Ponzi style stuff before. A lot of people said like he's basically back to extract, but it seems like he's building a lot of stuff on it. He's releasing Hey Anon, which is like automated trading across the board for it. If you were around for the Time Wonderland days, this was part of the website. There was a Lambo calculator that you had, in which because the rebasing was so high that it would tell you how many Lambos you were earning a day. And of course, at the time, that wasn't a top signal. It was just purely fact. So people were like, oh, making 7 Lambos a day. And now this site, you can see when the market cap of this gets to a certain threshold, it'll tell you what your Lamborghini equivalent is. Yeah.
It's been pretty up only. You had some time to get into this too. Damn. You
had a lot of time. The thing is, you could have top blasted this yesterday. I think yesterday I saw it at 8 mil in the morning.
Yeah.
You'd still be up pretty substantially, which is the thing. Like I sadly I just didn't do enough research on it. Then I kept seeing Daniel post about how he's in LA or somewhere seeing Lamborghinis and how it's a sign and all this stuff. So I'm pretty sure that was like the big thing for him, and like a lot of the people were like this whole sentiment of it being a Lambo calculator, and Daniel, who is well known in crypto, I would say, being so heavily involved in the trenches again.
What is this? Is this just a meme coin?
Yeah.
There's no like Ponzi-nomics behind it, so it's like meme coin launched by Daniel Sesta, and that's good enough for 20 mil.
A meme coin launched by the guy behind Time.
He also has his arena ticket is also 21 AVAX worth. So there's a couple of sides of it. Yeah.
How much did you spend, Clemente, to become a champion?
I spent like $5,000.
Okay.
And I'm top 500 barely.
But you got to be up on that 5K pretty nicely.
Dude, I'm up 3x.
Nice.
So you got 15 bandos in there?
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, what?
Yo, Pio heard you had 15 bandos in some AI.
Are you gonna continue to battle in the arena and be brave, or are you just gonna dip out and jump into the audience? Is the question, because you're right on the edge now. You got to make a decision soon if you're gonna buy more or sell.
I'm teeter-tottering. I bought more like a week and a half ago, because I like got knocked out. But yeah, I really don't know. This is like the other thing I'll say is the arena token is, or the arena in general, is a product that AVAX really wants to win. Like the Avalanche, like I don't know if it's the foundation or what, like the ecosystem as a whole really wants the arena to win. So that's also something that like you have behind it. They're not afraid to like voice their support for it.
Clemente, on that point, do you remember? I remember ages ago, AVAX announced that they wanted to support memes within their community. Like, I remember this being a news point when all the attention was on Solana about, I want to say a year ago, but it was probably like 6-7 months ago, something like that. How do they support these memes that they want to push?
They did that for a bit. I don't think they're like, before the foundation actually was like bidding some of these memes. I don't think they're doing that specifically for these, like the memes on the arena. To be honest, I'm very surprised that like this is like has taken off in the magnitude that it has. The AVAX community is in itself like really trying to get their own like season and get people like they have a chip on their shoulder. I've always kind of said that. But you look at like a lot of the tokens being launched, and like here are the top tokens here. Like Lambo's at what? It was at 20 mil. We have Integrity DAO, I believe, was the other one. Here we go. ID is at, these are tokens, the highest tokens by market cap on the arena. 44 mil for ID, 21 mil for Lambo, 11 mil for Amini, and then it like kind of drops off. You have a few in the 3, 4, 5 mil range. And they're doing well. So I don't know how to play this is my only thing. Like, but you basically like, as long as you're kind of tapped into it, you can kind of see which tokens are being launched on trenches. And yeah, I've played a couple like memes here, and you can get in pretty early at like 400 or 500K, and you do see some runners there depending on who launches it. So yeah, it's worth monitoring. Maybe later this week when you can check back in, see how it's doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump into that because I've seen a lot of people talking. I haven't been jumping into it myself. I feel like I need to pay attention more. Next thing I wanted to talk about was news from Friday. X partnering with Polymarket to be their official prediction market. This was pretty interesting. I asked Easy, like, does this affect your Robinhood play at all? Because I know you're pretty big on Robinhood with their new like gambling and prediction markets. If Twitter has something similar, does that affect your Robinhood thesis at all? Or are you pretty much like
Makes Robinhood stronger.
What do you say?
Makes Robinhood's thesis stronger.
Okay. How so?
I mean, dude, the thing is, a lot of people don't like Twitter. Like, plain and simple. Like, there's a big cohort of people who are not fans of X, like hard stop. And yet Robinhood is still the easiest path for retail and individuals to get involved in any sort of financial asset. Yesterday, I went through and did a reread of the Q1 earnings call and the statements that they made. There was no mention of this prediction market in the Q1 earnings. None. So like that inherently makes me insanely more bullish on it. But this also just signifies that there is an acceptance to prediction markets. And if X believes that there's a much larger future there, then I don't know how you could sit there and not be confident that Robinhood would be a much larger opportunity.
Love to see that. So it's basically confirming your thesis on the prediction markets, and you don't think they're going to be eating enough market share away to even matter.
This statement's also true. I'm morphing into PO, but for Robinhood instead of Bitcoin. Correct. Before I die, I will have a board seat at Robinhood. That is I will own enough shares to be a board member. That is the only goal.
On the board of Bitcoin, you'll be on the board of Robinhood.
Exactly.
I also think as well, like there's one before Elon took over X, I think X had its own problems. Which is what Easy's talking about. But I do think this whole kerfuffle, which has happened with Elon and Trump, Elon's come out looking a lot worse than Trump has. And I think Elon's brands will continue to take a hit. And so Polymarket merging with Elon in the short term, at least, while all this is happening at the moment with all like the scuffling on the playground between the two of them, I think it hurts Polymarket and Twitter more than it would hurt, for example, something like Robinhood, because it's just thought of in a completely different capacity.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. There is like the Elon risk factor on anything that happens with X and crypto. And we haven't really seen them do like a very crypto native like move yet.
It was wild seeing that the X. I wasn't working on Thursday. I went on a hike and I came back and I was getting lunch and I was like, and I saw the Elon tweet about Trump being like on the Epstein files, which got deleted. I was watching. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was honestly, I wish I was like tracking it more closely, but it's one of those moments
we've had in the trenches, by the way, in like the last 4 months.
It's one of those moments where you have to be, everyone's experiencing it, right? And we're like all living through this thing that's going on. I'm pissed I wasn't like more closely watching it, but it sounds like everyone, like a lot of people printed on some of those.
There was like some actual PVE style runners, which was one of the tickers too, like President versus Trump. Like the name was good, the beef was good. Granted, like I still think holding any of it overnight was dumb. You had a lot of people who were like, oh my God, this is going to be a story for X amount of time. But in reality, you know how news cycles go. And it's like the bigger thing now is obviously the riots in LA. They don't give a shit that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are fighting. Like nobody really gives a shit if your grandpa and second cousin are arguing. No one's gonna give a shit about that either. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where the market reacted pretty harshly. I think if you bought Tesla on that sell-off, it would have been an absolute home run play. It dropped like 15, 16% because Trump's response was basically like, oh yeah, keep talking shit and watch what I do to the EV credits, idiot. And obviously everyone was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I put out a pretty long form post on like how I thought the entire situation was going to play out. And it was a pretty good mix of response. And that's like my favorite thing because I had some people who were calling me a moron. Like I haven't been called a retard that many times in such a short period of time in at least 3 weeks. So that's how I knew we were back. So a lot of people were basically like, this is dumb. It's not scripted. You're an idiot. And now comments are coming out that like those two were fighting because Palantir had like this whole thing going on too that they didn't want the news to see and all this other bullshit. But I was basically like, these guys are going to fight. It's going to force the hand. We're seeing trickle down effects in the economy right now, all this other shit. And then obviously like it's playing out exactly how I thought it would, where I'm like, okay, they're going to fight. Market's going to tank. Market's going to rally. We're going to get rate cuts. Money printer go burr. Like plain and simple. And sure enough, it's like shaping up to be like that. But it's whenever you have these like massive news-based catalysts with public figures, it's tough for you, especially on a harsh emotion-driven sell-off, to buy that dip. But it's the economy, especially the S&P, has proven to be V-shaped recovery after V-shaped recovery. And even Bitcoin dipped all the way down to 101K. You wake up today, it's back over 107. Like, when you have these opportunities and you see these harsh sell-offs, just go long. Just buy spot and hold. Like when dips are given to you in a market like this, you want to just buy it. And I think that's the hardest part for so many people. It's like, what was the actual financial aspect of this or the technical aspect that led to a sell-off? Two grown-ass men arguing on Twitter? Like that's absolutely absurd.
No, I like that take because you're completely right. There's nothing. There was nothing. There were no fundamentals. There was nothing there. But what I thought was interesting were all of a sudden the riots. I mean, like not all of a sudden, but stuff's been brewing, and then all of a sudden we're like, don't look at that argument over there. Let's look at what's happening domestically over in LA. And I just feel like there was this really like quick shift where the media was trying to make you look somewhere else. And I don't think that's by accident by any means. It will never look good for Trump if he's like catfighting with his former first runner, basically. So I think we get more of these dips, but I think they're going to be for different reasons now, not necessarily because of Elon, but because it will look like Trump doesn't have control of his territory. That's what I think is going to happen. And especially if other riots start to happen in major cities. But let's see. National Guard's going to go sort things out now, as I understand. But I think it's something to keep an eye on. And as Easy was saying, if you get another dip out of those types of stories, that's another long.
It almost seemed like the market front ran the LA riot sell-off. Like with that situation, because the market's up right now. It's flat pre-market. You have a lot of stuff that's still trending higher, but like you'd expect when there's literal civil turmoil in the US, the market should be going down, and it's just not. So it's almost like we got the front run because of two grown-ass men fighting on the timeline.
Yeah.
What's the situation in LA? There's some strikes.
So ICE agents, the immigration agents, have been going in very publicly and rounding up a lot of people, and there's a lot of back and forth about like the groups of people that they're basically taking. Like there's been viral videos of them going to farms and you see a bunch of workers running away. There's been people just being stopped at the border who are citizens and being deported. There's like a lot of, it's just been very inhumane, the practices that they're doing with it, where they'll literally pull up with a bus and just round up a bunch of people and ask questions later. They're like just detaining people that sadly are not white and without any sort of information on it. And it's just a very bad situation. Mm-hmm. And it's largely on the back of Trump pushing the policy right now to go and do this, sending a variety of ICE agents in. And now obviously LA is fired up about it. So they've taken to the streets, they've shut down highways, tons of massive protests on that side of the US. And now you're just seeing people who don't agree with it fighting with the National Guard, literally throwing bricks at the National Guard. Tear gas.
You don't want to mess with my fellow Mexican brothers. They don't play. They don't play.
As a proud Latinx myself, Latinx, I do stand with you, Clemente.
Shit, you trying to deport me and shit?
Oh, Jesus Christ. But it's just a very big thing right now. And I mean, yeah, I did trade some meme coins on it. There was a person running around in the dinosaur suit. So ticker Lard was great. LA Riot Dinosaur. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. But I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff too is like, oh, Ray, you're muted. You're muted as shit, Ray.
Is there money to be made whenever you see like a Riot just to throw on a costume, launch a meme coin, and run in?
Remember, dude, was it Palestine Pikachu? Was what it was? Do you remember that thing?
Yeah.
We got that on one of our streams. It ran to 6 mil.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, crazy stuff going on here. We'll monitor that situation. There's 3 more opportunities. Well, they've been opportunities we've been talking about that I want to cover. I'm gonna let Clemente pick. Actually, we'll pick between one of these two. Do you want to talk about SPX or Bad Buns?
But both are interesting to me. Let's do Bad Buns.
Okay, so we talked about these. Clemente, you highlighted them via tweet. We've talked about these on the show a number of times. Last time we talked about them, Easy was down on a buy, and I was saying, hey, like these are at like 0.3. Maybe they're gonna lose their lose the hype, and they dropped to like 0.25. We can get a bid in there. We did see that briefly, but now these things are all the way up to 0.558. Couple things I want to discuss here. A, are these a buy? It seems that the Mega ETH team is like pushing these. This is pretty pricey. If you remember, they had a 1 ETH soulbound fluffle mint, so this is half the price of that mint. So my questions are like, A, is this a buy? B, like, how good is it to have one of those fluffle soulbound NFTs now? I have one. I love to see this thing.
So Ray, my hard issue with this is, by the way, I own 4 of these. I bought 4 at 0.45, sold them at 0.3 because I needed liquidity for something else, and I just didn't feel like bridging. Bought back in at 0.35 for 4 more. So like I'm still down a little bit, or I think I'm now like break even basically at this current price. But the fluffles, the difficult thing is that they're non-transferable, right? They're soulbound. So like theoretically you should be able to still get rewards and all the other stuff. But I look at these closer to Hypeos, the little Hypeo baby things. Why did these Milady things always put like the word baby and this weird shit in their names? But I look at these closer to that because when Mega ETH goes live, this will probably be the first collection that bridges over there. And you have people like Bread, Legendary, B-Check, some of these others who are very big on new chains and all this other stuff that I'm like, if they're fans of this, I don't have any Mega ETH exposure. There's a very small chance that I actually like go and click around before mainnet is live. But if I own the NFTs, I get exposure. So I'm like, yeah, this is probably a better move for me to just hold these. And if they run to 1.5, 2 ETH like the Hypeos, it's a great trade. Yeah,
I think I agree. I think you need to be clicking around on testnet a couple times. Hit me up if you need testnet ETH. Brett sent us a bunch. If you're in the Bodoggos Discord, again, a lot of you have gotten it so far. Just another reminder, tag me in Bodoggos Discord and I'll send you some Mega ETH testnet ETH so you can play around in a couple sites that you can jump on to get some exposure.
I would be so yeah. I think this is a no brainer. The Bad Buns were a no brainer trade. I don't think they're like. I mean, buying in now at 0.5 or 0.6 and going like, okay, you know, will they rip further? It's hard for me to be able to make a proper call on that. Do we have any other Mega ETH collections that are worth looking? Like, I'm potentially more interested in like a beta play on that. Bread guy said he was going to change his PFP to another Mega ETH collection.
He did. That's interesting. I want to look at the run up on Hypeos and see like if what you're saying plays out. I mean, these things also like traded at this half an ETH level for a while before really cooking.
Clemente, I'm just like, do you so just given your track record on this, like I feel as if 0.5 isn't that much to go on like the front run collection of a new chain. I don't think it's that much to buy into if you consider in the past what other collections on other chains have done. And then rather than trying to find the beta play, which will be much more difficult to identify, I don't think like half an ETH is that much, really, honestly, to be in what is already being pushed as the #1 collection. But it feels late because they were at 0.2, 0.3 not that long ago. But like, just step back a moment and think, if I could have got into like a really strong collection over on Solana or Ethereum, or even on even over on Ordinals for around 0.5, and then you know what's going to happen. It's really not that much. I think doing a beta play is much harder, much harder thing to do, because there's only ever going to be 1 or 2 collections that will be spoken about on a new chain at the beginning, and everything else just kind of teeters away and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I also think everyone buying into this right now has been buying it for the hypeo babies. Like it's the same narrative. We're doing it over and over again. So everyone's doing it. I'm not interested in like buying this for 0.55 is basically what I'm saying. And I'm interested in like looking at other opportunities. I'm not saying like a beta play. I'll give another example. Like SoFon is another interesting like ecosystem. They're doing 2 NFT launches that are worth monitoring. I believe the one. So like I'm interested in that. And there's like I want to find the flagship collection on there. I'm also interested in finding the flagship collection on Monad, right? And seeing if I can get involved in those. Those are the types of plays that have continued to do well time and time again with these new ecosystems, and there's appetite for it.
My question here, I think I'm on the side of they're not a buy here. I want to ask Easy this. Easy, give me a ballpark. Sorry to put you on the spot. Give me a ballpark like launch FDV for Mega ETH.
Ballpark launch. Oh man, dude, that's kind of tough. Because I'd have to look at like what other chains are. Like what's go down to like top 25.
Ray, that's crazy to me.
Squeeze 33.
I would go lower.
Go down to like top 25. Keep going. Yeah, so I'd be somewhere around here. Athena launched last year, so that's probably fairly close. I would say that's 3 bill, 4 bill, right?
Yeah, that put right around 6 bill FDV.
I'd say I think it has more hype than Athena. I think there's more like vocal support than Athena. So let's call it 7 bill.
Okay, so do a little math. You got Hypeo babies at 2.
Dude, you got to think it's an L1.
36.
Like, Hyperliquid's at 11.
No, it's an L2. It's an L2. Mega ETH is an L2.
Sure.
36 bill.
Hyperliquid's an L1. Mega ETH's an L2. But dude, look at these L2s too. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe lower. Then it's really tough to say, dude.
Yeah,
like really tough to say. Like Aave, what's Aave at? I kind of like the Aave comparison for something here, where it's just like infrastructure more than anything else.
Aave's at
4 bill. Call it 5 bill. Call it 5 bill.
So you're at 160 FDV of Hyperliquid. The Hypeo babies are at 2.5 ETH. So like my thought process on the Bunnz here is maybe these are a little correctly priced or overpriced in that trade.
Nope, send them to an ETH.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with Easy. I think these easily go
bags.
Yeah, send them to 5 ETH. Send them to 5 ETH.
Yeah, I don't see how these don't possibly trade higher than the entire Hyperliquid blockchain.
That's just my quick math when we're using that as a comparison. You look at those you look at the FDV of the tokens, and you can kind of do a little bit of math. But we know that rationality and those kind of comparisons don't often hold up for these sort of things. The other one I want to talk about was SPX. Clemente, you've been all over this early with Murad. As soon as you went on TikTok.
Wrong. I was screaming that this probably gigasends if this MFR keeps posting nonstop. That was the whole thesis. If this is going to become the TikTok coin, and it literally is playing out to be the TikTok coin. Clemente agreed, and now Clemente started a TikTok. Clemente, you got to find a coin and start shilling it, man.
I got my video taken down for shilling Bitcoin, but the SPX 6900, like I'm like, what?
Wait, what happened?
My video, I had a TikTok I posted about me buying Bitcoin for every new follower I had, right? There's a lot of trends for it. And yeah, the other one, it got taken down. I was like, what the hell? So that I did day one. My day 2 one got deleted. They're like, yo, this violates like basically the scam, like you're promoting a digital currency that might be a scam. I was like, all right, wow.
What the hell?
Yeah. SPX, so it's like all over my TikTok. And there's people like shilling, but like Murad is kind of crushing that. I bought some of this at like 60 cents and I sold it.
No.
On the like when everything nuked. I didn't have the balls to keep holding this. I've talked to I think Easy about this, but SPX 6900. There's so many videos I saw. I keep playing this video I found of like people like this kid who's like younger than 18. And he's like, this is why like SPX 6900 is our chance to not have to worry about where food's going to come from and like not have to worry about the next meal, working a 9 to 5. This is my chance to escape it. And I don't know, it's kind of sad. It makes me a little bit sad that like people are resorting to like meme coins to feel like this is their chance to make it. But there's a lot of people that feel like SPX 6900 is their solution. And I don't get a lot, like, I don't feel that from Fartcoin. SPX 6900 has a movement, like something that you're kind of standing for, and it has the branding. Fartcoin misses that. And Fartcoin is funny versus SPX 6900 is like kind of like feels more driven.
It's closer to becoming a religion than Fartcoin is, essentially. Like it has like that cult behind it, whereas Fartcoin, like there's a lot of people who like just think Fartcoin is funny and we'll post it, be like, yeah, Fartcoin's going up, hot air rises. But like that's the extent of like the post. They're not like doing these like Fartcoin is gonna free you from your financial like issues. It's like I feel like Fartcoin is like rich people getting richer, trading a coin that's destined to go up. Like,
Yeah,
Fartcoin feels like consensus crypto Twitter, like a play for a trade.
and there's a reason
I'm trading SPX. They're like, yo, I'm holding this forever, and I'm gonna be like financially set for life.
Fartcoin is a consensus crypto Twitter play, and it's why it dumped 20% after the pump fund news of it was raising $1 billion because it's so crypto Twitter consensus. Fartcoin is still my biggest bag as far as meme coins go, but like that was a telling sign versus SPX didn't budge. And I think it even went up.
And that's exactly the reason why it will do well, because the consensus wave can move in either direction. It can move for you and it can move against you. And I feel like, again, obviously I hold some, but I feel like the reason why I hold some is because like, why would you go against a tsunami basically? Because it can pull back really hard, Clemente, and I totally agree with you on that. But I also feel like all it takes is for momentum to come back across many different coins, and then you'll just see it rise up again to be in pole position with everything else. And I do agree with you that SPX is it's still, I would still buy SPX now, but I wouldn't be like, oh, is it Fartcoin or is it SPX? I think it's quite clear that it's both at this point. It's both at this point, and you don't really want to be on the sidelines of two coins that just have momentum in completely different ways.
Does Fartcoin reflip SPX at any point this cycle? Is the question. Right now, Fartcoin's at 1.1, SPX is at 1.2, and seems to be up only and not caring about pullbacks and not caring about the meme coin market at large, whereas we see Fartcoin is kind of almost pegged to it. Do you think we see Fartcoin reflip SPX?
I think it can.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, for sure.
Other Murad tokens, do you think these are going to catch a bid?
No, I'm not interested. Giga Chad would be one, because I do see people talking about it on TikTok, but it's like too. Yeah, I mean, maybe Giga Chat is interesting.
Isn't there like some like issue with like supply control and like the founder? Isn't the founder in jail or something for this? Or like, is there something weird going on with Giga?
It was something like that. Easy would know better than me, but yeah, it was something kind of sketchy going on there.
Yeah.
I don't like these plays, right? Like, I know I've spoken to you about this before. I just don't like these derivative plays because there's so many opportunities. Like since the beginning of the show, we've spoken about Arena. We've spoken about everything happening on AVAX. We've spoken about NFTs on Mega ETH. We're now talking like there's so many different places you can deploy your money. And I just think sometimes trying to chase a derivative when there's a very clear sign of like which is the number one asset within a different ecosystem. In this case, SPX is the number one asset within Murad's portfolio. I just feel like Like, go in on that. Otherwise, you're constantly waiting for like that second wave of momentum to come in and start buying the rest of the portfolio. If there's momentum to buy the derivatives, then there's momentum to buy the number one asset of that ecosystem. And I still think like there's money sidelined, like let's call it like risky money. There's money that's waiting for these kind of plays. I still think there's a lot of that on the side. And when that money comes back in, it's not going to be deployed into like the derivative stuff. It's gonna wait for a pullback on something, be that SPX, be that Fartcoin, and it's gonna go all in on that. And that's why I don't like these derivative plays of the rest of his portfolio or of any ecosystem when I think you can get in at a good price.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the play, is just take the fastest horse instead of trying to worry about which derivative could return X's. Whereas you just get the quote unquote sound asset. I mean, execution risk for this is like Murad stops posting on TikTok at some point, but I mean, it seems like he may reach critical mass of like the movement continuing on TikTok, which is interesting. I mean, looking at the volume on SPX, like you're seeing pretty like increased volume over the last 2 weeks on it compared to where we were during the lows. So this is pretty interesting. Another token I want to cover very briefly, just for listeners of the show. 2 weeks ago, Kix and I brought up this Veil token on base. I was like, yeah, we need to buy this. Maybe it's hit bottom. Didn't end up buying it, but if anyone else was listening and got interested in this Veil token, check your wallets, because it's now done like a 4x off of the lows when we were talking about it. Privacy token on base that Kix has been talking about for a while, that's been down only, had a pretty crazy 4x run over the last couple days. So that's one to just kind of keep tabs on. We talked about in the show a few weeks ago. Anything else in the market that's catching your eye, Clemente, Easy, Signal? Anything else you've been kind of exploring over the last week or so? I know you've been touching some grass, Clemente, Easy. Have you been clicking any buttons?
No, I've just deposited an absurd amount of capital into the no of will Jesus Christ return in 2025 on Polymarket.
Nice.
Yeah, it's earning about a 7% annualized ROI.
What are the odds there?
It is a 4% chance of yes. Now down to 2%. $500,000 in volume traded.
Why is that a market? Like what?
No idea.
I want to see what I want to pull this up, because I really want to see like what the requirements are. Like, how does this work if like everything got lost in translation over the years of the Bible? It's like his name's not Jesus Christ, or like it's a different religion, it just got like interpreted the wrong way. Like, like all kinds of like weird philosophical questions jump into my mind. All right. The market will resolve the yes if the second coming of Christ occurs by December 31st, 2025. The resolution source for this market will be a consensus of credible sources. So like your risk here, what is like people like brute forcing the consensus mechanism and resulting to CS easy? That's like the only downside,
I guess.
Or the second coming, I guess, would be the other downside.
Yeah, like that'd be kind of an issue, but I don't know. I just saw this and thought it was funny.
No, I clicked some buttons to buy Circle after the IPO. I've always said that I've wanted exposure to stable coins, which I know is extremely boring, but I just took the position. I'm done. Don't have to think about it anymore. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to that stock over the next 12 months. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. It's the only way to have exposure to proper exposure to stable coins via the stock exchange. It's going to be the play that everybody ends up doing once people start to understand stable coins more. So those are some buttons that I clicked Ray this week. Did you guys? No one else. Okay, Easy was buying more Robinhood. Clemente shaking his head. Ray, I get a feeling you didn't.
I'm more concerned about Tether going public, because then like competition will cause like a sell-off or a pushback. The other thing is like IPOs in general tend to like, you do see these harsh runs like this, which is awesome for those that got in. But the thing is like at some point there's pullbacks, and at that point then it's like, okay, now do you take call options? I've just had very bad luck with IPOs. Like they've always traded against me. And so like I usually trade better waiting to see like first reports of earnings and read into a little bit more about what their end goal is financial wise. And I think that's like where my edge is. Like it happened with Robinhood. It's happened with other stocks. I was very early on like EV and like electric vehicle stocks, like with a few of these other ones besides Tesla. But it's that's where I have my edge. And with Circle, it's like we know that they make money. We know that they do well. Competitors I'm interested in how else they intend to like figure out revenue, or if it's just purely off of stable coins and you're just betting on adoption, which at that point I would just rather buy Bitcoin, as crazy as that sounds.
No, that's the thing. So first of all, just to answer your question, I would if Tether IPOs, I would dump my Circle position and get into Tether, because I just think operationally they're a much better run company. And secondly, I think everyone in crypto still thinks of stable coins is just sort of like how we want to hold our deposits when we've just got some spare cash floating about. I don't think people really think about it from how institutions use stable coins and how institutions will have to use stable coins in the future, especially as we see more and more and more and more of them building up these Bitcoin treasuries. And I'm sure they're going to have some kind of treasury which will have multiple major cryptocurrencies in there. Stable coins will be part of that portfolio. And from a FX point of view, it will just make things so much easier for corporates to be able to exchange money without having to go through the stock market outside of Monday to Friday. There's just so many ways to use it. And I just think maybe perhaps in our space, we just think of its use in one kind of way because we don't have to use them in another way. So that's why I'm really interested in stable coins. But I will dump my Circle bag and go into Tether if Tether IPOs for sure.
Makes sense.
That's interesting. Circle, for those listening, we're looking at the chart now, up 18% on the day, gapped up here at $126. Basically set a new all-time high this morning of right around 140 for Circle, continuing its cook. $31 price at IPO is almost 5x at this point after not even a week of trading. So
okay, I'm just going to say to PR. So PR said, why would you need a stable coin for a Bitcoin treasury? Lol. Sig is a fucking retarded. Absolutely zero companies have bought stable coins for treasury strategy. Well, PR, if you're a Turkish, let's say, shipping company, or even maybe an Iranian shipping company, and you want to be able to get exposure to dollars, but hey, you're sanctioned from the US and not allowed to hold dollars or trade with the US dollars, how the hell are you going to get hold of your dollars? Because you want to be able to trade with, say, an Argentinian company who want you to buy the cargo or the ships in a US dollar trade. You will go through stable coins because you have to convert. That is how corporates and institutions use stable coins. So when you're sitting in your basement downstairs with your mum and you're just like buying and clicking little buttons of meme coins, go read the news and go figure out how the world actually works. So I'm not a fucking retarded degenerate. You go click some buttons and read some newspapers.
Let him know.
Let him know. Let him know. Get him, Sig. I love a good Sig rant. We haven't got one of those in a while. Absolutely crushed him. Sorry, PR.
I do think you're spot on though with like the stablecoin thesis. Also, stablecoins all-time high on chain. So it's like clearly there's a market demand and it's the easiest one.
Yeah, that is awesome. I just saw we have more OpenSea trades. I'm gonna do a little fun something. Give me some tickers to buy on OpenSea. I'm gonna do my quest here live. So show me tickers in the chat here on YouTube, and I'll buy something live. $10 of it just to complete my quest.
Some more buttons that I clicked this week, Ray. Sorry, I also bought the Rect NFTs because they were giving out some serious, or they're going to give out some serious XP on OpenSea for the drinks, for the Rect drinks. But it's kind of, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with that, but that was a really good,
just because I want to actually claim them. Like,
yeah, but the thing is, the deadline was on Friday, I believe. You had to burn the NFTs to be able to get the.
Wish I knew that. Now I just have these fucking NFTs.
But that was a good button clicking on last week as well.
We're gonna buy some ApeCoin on Ape, and I'm gonna use mainnet ETH to buy it on Ape.
Oh, dude, that was the other thing. Because I had bridged when I sold those Bunnz. This was the nice part about OpenSea. I sold them for AVAX trades, made money on AVAX, and then was able to rebuy my bad Bunnz with AVAX, which I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. I did that with like I bought like an
and dude, it automatically prompts you. It's like, you don't have enough ETH. Would you like to use this instead?
Oh.
Like I didn't have to go and click a bunch of buttons. It just automatically prompted it.
Dude, the favorite thing is like you can do like tokens for tokens and like different chains on here. I didn't want to do mainnet ETH because I didn't want to pay extra gas, but I can use base ETH to buy Ape chain. Ape. Pretty sick.
They're potentially dissolving the ApeCoin DAO.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think that's bullish for ApeCoin, to be honest.
So do I. Because they
think
give them
so,
so
too.
much money in ApeCoin that now there would be like significantly less sell pressure on ApeCoin for all the stuff that never actually gets done.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. It sounds like the ApeCoin DAO was mostly just for regulation stuff. And now they're like, we don't
It
need
also
to do
costs an arm and a leg. So if I imagine as well, they probably want to probably looking at the P&L, just looking at the ones and the zeros and thinking, do we really need this? Like, how can we make this holding more efficient? Is what I imagine they're also looking at as well. Because do you remember when it first came out, everyone was like, oh my God, they're all so overpaid. How much money are these people getting paid to sit on the DAO? But setting up these kinds of DAOs and trusts, I mean, it costs a lot of money to have these people on. These people are taking risk on there, but they probably found a better way of setting it up. That's what I imagine is happening there as well. It's not just about sort of like what it looks like from the outside. I also think they're looking at the numbers and thinking there must be a more tax efficient way to do this.
Yeah, I think I think that there wasn't enough oversight on delivering. There was more oversight on like getting proposals through. So I think there are a lot of proposals that like maybe had good intentions, never got delivered on, and like hurt the DAO, hurt Yuga, hurt apes more so than helped, if that makes sense. And I think that getting rid of that and kind of just streamlining operation, narrowing focus is going to be very good for Yuga. So I'm excited. I think like a lot of the ape ecosystem will eventually be buys here once they kind of like finish consolidating. You know, they sold CryptoPunks, Moonbirds, KTF, Meebits, tons of other assets at this point. They're basically narrowing their focus and bringing like everything back to like what made them what they are, which is like the initial team, the focus, apes, other side ApeCoin. So I'm excited to see there. This is one last kind of thing I want to run here. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this as a metric. As somebody who writes the newsletter and writes about these things on a daily basis, last week what really jumped out to me was the amount of capital that was going into crypto treasury raises on a weekly basis. Essentially, over just the last 7 days, like I found 10 newsworthy stories across those 7 days with companies either buying crypto for treasuries or raising money, totaling $22.4 billion. So Trump Media Group raised $12 billion, Metaplanet $5 billion. Vivek Ramaswamy Strive doubled its investment to $1.5 billion. We saw the Spanish coffee company acquire $1.1 billion. We saw Strategy announced the Stride preferred stock for $1 billion. They bought $110 million of Bitcoin on from their main treasury this week as well. K-Wave raised $500 million. Blockchain Group $340 million. No Labs 1,000 Bitcoin worth about $100 million. Semler Scientific $20 million. And Weebus $300 million for Ripple. We continue to see these big traditional finance buys and raises. Do you think looking at these and tracking these, we could potentially like use as like maybe a local top signal when you start seeing these announcements like plateau? Is that something you would look for as like a top signal or a local top signal in crypto? It's kind of my thought process.
I don't want to hear Easy's thoughts. I think that's a really interesting way. I haven't even thought of that. More so, I was listening to Udi talk about this actually with Thread Guy. I think it was on Friday. All these Bitcoin treasury companies buying Bitcoin, and he's very tapped into it. He said that a lot of the companies like Michael Saylor is raising capital in a very like interesting way, in creative ways that he's less worried about. But a lot of these Bitcoin like companies raising money that are just like trash companies, all of a sudden raising like hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to buy crypto is wild. And he's like, a lot of them are doing them in very risky ways. And because it's Bitcoin, it might like we're going to see a lot of capital inflows and it's going to keep pumping. But at some point it could like kind of fall apart a little bit if and when we see a pullback. But his perspective is basically like, I don't see that happening really anytime soon. And that we're going to see a lot more inflows we're going to see a lot more inflows and a lot more of like price go up in the near future. But when that unwinds and like we see like a 50% pullback on Bitcoin, we could see like a lot of the downside there.
Right. I think I agree. It goes both ways in terms of these treasury companies. That's why I want to either find a good like dashboard that's like measuring these on like maybe publicly traded companies or like large enough investments, and then just look at that over time, because I think that that's going to be like a clear signal at some point that like, hey, like institutional bids have essentially plateaued. Who's the next like marginal buyer? Have we crossed over to the point where like retail is now in and they're deploying capital? Because if that's not the case, like we could be in some trouble once that tapers off. And then
I
you
do
see
think
like,
it's like a top. I mean, only so many can run the same playbook before demand is like, once again, why would you not just buy MicroStrategy at that point? I don't want to buy like the 16th derivative. We've seen it with the Solana holding companies. Me and Nick got rinsed on that kids thing. Absolutely fucking rinsed.
Just no reason you should have bought that.
Absolutely not, dude. Absolutely not. We printed on DFDV and then we tried to run it back and it was like, well, this is bad. We're in danger.
What I find interesting, like if there was an interesting business, like an actual interesting business, maybe doing this easy, what like that an actual profitable business, not like a ghost bullshit company buying Bitcoin, like maybe that would be interesting because they actually have a real business model and are like profitable or whatever that would look like. Having Bitcoin exposure to them would maybe be interesting. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Wow, look at that bounce off the bottom on DFDV.
that one's interesting. I mean, I think if you're looking at these, we'll keep saying it. It's like CEP and MicroStrategies. CEP is off the trend line now, down a couple days in a row, but we'll see. MicroStrategy will be an interesting one to watch again today. With Bitcoin, pumping. Do we see? Actually, I'm actually curious. Bitcoin running today, getting up to 108 before pulling back. Do we see a Bitcoin all-time high this week?
I would like that.
Yes.
You think we do?
Let's go.
No.
We've done this before. Last time we did this, we did see an all-time high. I said no last time. I'm gonna say no again.
I'm gonna say no. I think we did some crab walking here for a lot of
yes.
June.
I'm going to say yes.
Ben Wong wants to check the kids chart again. I mean, if you bought kids spot when we were talking about it, I think you're still up.
I think you're still up on spot. It was the options that yikes.
Yeah, you bought the call options at $5-6. You were in some trouble. You still have you closed them easy, or are you still holding for?
I'm out. I took a loss on them.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap here? We've been running about an hour today.
The only other thing is I was getting in from this flight this morning and I was thinking about NFTs. Dude, NFTs are low-key feeling good. They're, if you pick your spots, I kind of want to start buying some little Pudgys. I kind of want to get back into them. They're calling my name again. Because I have some ETH exposure.
Trade all over again.
Dude, I have some ETH exposure. So I'm like, I'd rather just put that into an NFT. Little Pudgys feel good. I don't want to buy big Pudgy because then you're just stuck you hold one and you're like, you can't buy like size out. You can't kind of DCA out. With little Pudgys. You can. I kind of want to buy it. So, but it feels good seeing an NFT season again. And I was wrong. It looks like a lot of it is happening on ETH. So, I mean, I think there is money to be made there. Dude, I made a 2x on Moonbirds. Remember, I texted you guys 2 weeks ago when Moonbirds got acquired. I was like, oh, I'm buying a Moonbirds here. And I mean, I sold mine too early, but they ended up pumping almost like 1 ETH. It's really interesting. Like there's trades to be made. And I think I got traumatized a little bit by the meme coin, like the trenches and the trenches being dead, but there is a lot of trades to be made if you pick your spots and like you focus on specific ecosystems. I think a lot of people got burnt out by the trenches. A lot of people got burnt out by like Kaido Yap stuff. But if you pick your spots, you can make money. Good Vibes Club was like a really easy play, or not easy play, but that was a cook. Moonbirds. We saw what else has been pumping recently? There's like
SPX. I
Bad
think
Buns.
the Aeons have been pumping as well for SPX.
Yeah, you have
That's
Aeons.
like 0.4 ETH now for these guys. This is like a pretty big cook as SPX has been running out. This would have been, I think, almost a better buy than SPX on the run up. This is over a 2x.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like a complete dumbass holding only Bitcoin NFTs, man. Dumbass. I'm cooked. I'm cooked on every single one. I'm down like 0.06 Bitcoin. And I kind of not feel like that's $6,000, dude.
You'll be quick to tell you that you're still up on your Bitcoin or your Taproot Wizard.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you're up on your USD. And I'm like, since when does any Bitcoin person care about USD? This is Bitcoin I already had, buddy. Get out of here.
I still have mine. I still have mine. You still have yours?
Yeah, dude, I freaking have this thing, and I don't feel good about it because I'm checking. I'm like, oh my god, there's no sales on this. There's no volume on those Taproot Wizards. It is gnarly, and I'm like, oh, I have a hoodie one which is supposedly rare. I'm like, no one's gonna buy this thing above floor. I'm gonna have to tweet out that it's for sale. God, not good, man. Not there's what, like 6 sales in the last 7 days. Are you kidding me?
All into bids. I think all of it's into bids.
Are you kidding? Boy, was I mean, it's too early. It's too early. But boy, was I wrong. Anyways, yeah, but I do feel like it's way better spending your time finding some of these opportunities, finding the next Bad Buns, finding like an arena style play. And like just doing that and wait for it to play out versus like trying to do the trenches stuff, right? Like, so yeah.
Big Alejandro just rubbing salt in the wound here. How's it feel? You took a shower in a wizard robe to lose money on a JPEG.
I took water damage in my apartment to pay $20,000 to Taproot Wizard. Holy shit, am I a dumbass? Unbelievable.
All right. On that note, that's a show. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a wonderful Monday. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. We appreciate you. Give us a like, give us a retweet, give us a follow. Give us a subscription on YouTube. We love having you in here. Keep commenting. Love all the comments today. We run the show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You can catch us on all major podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple. Watch us on YouTube. See what we're talking about in real time. Thanks for listening.